remember I put it up on my website and I announced it, and literally like I think 5 minutes after I announced it, I got my first client.
Oh,
So,
wow. There's definitely a demand.
Yeah, it really proved me like people do want this.
Welcome to the Spark Your Legacy podcast. My name is Kevin Andrade. I am the owner and founder of Spark Tax Services. And on this podcast, we talk to small business owners and entrepreneurs from various different industries to gain their perspective on how they started, their journey along the way, and where they are today. So here we go. Enjoy this episode. Welcome to another episode of the Spark Your Legacy podcast. I'm here with a very special guest, Andrea Ventura. Andrea, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. Yes, I'm very happy that you were able to accept the invitation. Just to see from your perspective, from the modeling world, as you guys are self-employed, you guys, you're a small business, you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, 100%.
So quickly, if you can give some background, like kind of like where you grew up, where you are right now in your stage in your career, and yeah.
Sure. So I was born and raised in El Salvador, and I moved to the US when I turned 18. I moved to Maryland, and around I think a year after I moved or something like that, I got asked by a friend if I could model for his photography class in college. So this was just super this
What
is not
year is
a
this?
big, this was 2013.
Okay.
Yeah, 2013. Yeah. So he invited me to go to the studio in his college. If anybody's familiar with the Maryland area, it was Montgomery College. So it was just my first time. I was so excited, and I had no idea how to model. I just when the opportunity, because I always wanted to model, but I never had the opportunity in El Salvador. So when he asked me, I was so excited. I said yes, and it's got there, I realized that I had no idea what to do in front of the camera. But yeah, so it was really fun. There was another girl there who later on became a friend, and she was modeling for fun. So I asked her a few tips on how to get into it. She told me to start reaching out to photographers and tell them that I wanted to shoot with them. And that's how I started. It was just a hobby, the thought of making money out of it did not cross my mind at all. It was just this other thing that I did for fun on the side, besides going to college full time and working part time. This is just something I did, and that's how it was for a couple of years. And then people started telling me I should take it seriously, I should look for agencies, I should get representation, work for brands. And I was nah, this is my hobby, this is just for fun.
Yeah.
And then I finally somebody basically sat me down and was Andrea, take it seriously. So after that, I tried to get signed to agencies. I started getting some work. I started getting more jobs. I started seeing I could make really good money out of it. I really loved doing it. I graduated college in 2017, and that's when I decided to pursue modeling full time. And I, try to figure out everything on my own, because there's no school for modeling. I mean, you could go to school for modeling, but it's not a regular career path, So I just was figuring out so many things on my own, especially because I am petite, which in the modeling industry, it means that I'm shorter than 5'6", and usually agencies and clients are looking for models to be 5'9" or taller. So it was very hard for me to find agencies or people that wanted to work with me, because everybody was oh, I'm so sorry, you're too short. So
wow,
struggle with that and try to find my way on my own. And fast forward, now it's 2022, and I live in New York City, and I model full time, and I have a bunch of agencies that represent me, and I work with a ton of clients. And yeah, this is what I do now.
Yeah, I think you offer coaching as well, right, to models as well?
Yes, I also offer coaching. It's just the way I started my social media was to teach other people what I've been learning throughout my journey, because I wanted to be that person I wish I had when I started, when I was so lost and I felt so alone. And throughout time, I've realized that people really want to, get like one-to-one with me. So I
Yeah.
decided to make the coaching sessions, and I've been loving them. So if anybody is interested in getting into modeling, like I could do coaching, I can teach you everything, you know.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely awesome. So if you could quickly just take me back to the moment where like you made the jump, you made the full-time transition to the modeling world. So you're self-employed. Um, what were you doing before, I guess, for work? And
Mhm.
then like, how was that transition to going from like your regular job to now full-time model?
So when I was in college, I was working, I would say like part-time, but I think it's even less than part-time. I was working at this club in DC, and I
Hmm.
was like, I started doing the guest list, and then I transitioned to being a bartender. And as a bartender, you can make really good money, but I'm gonna say I wasn't the best bartender. So the people that I work with are probably making way more money than what I could make on my own.
Hmm.
But I was still making I felt like I was making pretty good money.
Yeah.
And then I will randomly book shoots, and I will see the money for the shoots was so much more than the money I was making in this place
Mm.
per night, obviously, like so per shoot per night.
Yeah.
And then it turned out to be like it was like almost the same as I was making per shoot. It was what I was making weekly in that place. And I was like, well, like I could just, you know, pursue this full time. And it was a time that, you know, when you're finishing college,
Hmm.
everybody is asking you like, okay,
What
so
do you,
what are you gonna,
what's
yeah, what are
next?
you
What's
gonna do?
next? Yeah.
Yeah, like what's next, where are you gonna go? Like all of my classmates were applying to jobs and like building their resume and like doing all this work, and I just didn't want to do it. And I really felt that I felt sad thinking that I was going to have to quit modeling, like my favorite hobby, to pursue a 9 to 5, because once you have a 9 to 5, it's will be really hard for me to get this random shoots that I do, like,
Hmm.
you know, on
Yeah.
a Thursday, you know.
It's more
So
commitment. Yeah.
yeah, so I was just like, oh, I don't see myself not modeling. So because my job wasn't like a full-time job, and I think it was easy for me to see that transition, because I feel like if I had just started modeling and I was making the money I was making back then, and I had
Hmm.
a full-time job that was giving me like a full-time income,
Yeah.
then I feel like it would be a lot harder for me to make the transition. But because what I was making at the club was basically how I was making modeling, I was
Hmm.
just like, why would you know? So that's
Yeah.
how I make the decision. It was, I feel like it's easier because of the circumstances I was living in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So you found another opportunity to make the same money as what you were doing at that time, at that moment.
Hmm.
And it just made more sense, it sounds like. And then you kind of just ventured off into where you are today with your whole modeling career. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Were there any moments in the beginning, or you can, throughout the years where you were kind of like hesitant, like, is this going to work out? Maybe I should get a regular job. Can you run me through maybe share a story throughout the years?
Yeah, for sure. So when I first started like doing this full time, I put a lot of pressure on myself. And this is something that if I could go back, I would kind of like talk to myself, be like, you're just starting, like it's normal that you're
It's normal,
barely
yeah.
not making that much money. But I had
Hmm.
so much pressure in myself. And actually there was like a family member that will tell me every now and then and say like, you know what, like you should just look for a full-time job, like, you know, like
Mm.
kind of like don't keep pursuing this like full time like modeling, just like look for something else, like in the meantime, you know. And that really hurt me. But I was just determined
Yeah.
that this was going to work out and I was going to figure it out. But yeah, there were moments that I like saw my bank account and I like freaked out because it was not that much money that I had.
Yeah.
And I felt this like this pressure of like, what are other people doing, how these other people, how much money they're making, and like I am, you know, that I don't have that much money in my bank account, like, you know. So there were definitely moments that I felt like really low in terms of like how much money I was making. But
Mm.
it never got to a point that I told myself, should I quit or should I look for something else? Like it never got to that point. Like I was confident that I was going to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But even though I was confident that I was going to figure it out, I did feel like super stressed
Yeah.
that I was not where I wish I was, or I was not booking as many work, or I wasn't making as much money.
Mm-hmm.
But if I could go back to that Andrea, I'll tell her like, calm down, like it's
Just
completely
breathe.
normal, like it's fine, you're gonna be fine. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. No, kudos to you for just perseverance and just believing in yourself and just staying on track to where your goals and dreams were. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So if someone's in that position where they're kind of they're like flustered or they're kind of indecisive in that moment, and like similar to you, what advice would you give to them to just kind of stay the course?
So I will like remind them that it takes 5 to 20 years of like consistently hard work to reach your goals. So if you're just like literally just starting out, you're just figuring things out, you obviously have no idea what you're doing at that moment and you're not making that much money, that is completely normal. And it's also completely okay to look for another job in the meantime. Like I was just like, I was in a very lucky position because I lived at home. So the pressure of paying rent was not a pressure, like I did feel the pressure of like making money and like being financially independent. But in the terms of like, I think the biggest deal for people is like, paying rent. Like that's just like a huge pressure,
Biggest expense, yeah, everyone's
exactly.
lives.
Yeah. So I didn't have that. So if you are in a position very similar to mine, that you're still living at home, like you don't have to pay rent, then just kind of like remind yourself that it's going to take a long time. Because as more as I like researched this career, I found so many other successful models that made it years after they started. So kind of like seeing other stories kind of like calm me down and be like, oh, this model I look up to, like it took her this many years. Oh, this other model I could look up to took her like 10 years. This other model like was gonna quit at 6 years, but then she got her big break. So all these like little stories, it really helps me like, okay, like it's fine. Like, so hopefully whoever is like listening to the podcast right now and listens to my story is gonna be like, okay, like she started like really low. Yeah. And now she lives in New York City and she does it full time, Yeah. So I think it's just like being honest about your story is, I feel like, helps other people like calm down.
Absolutely. I'm so happy you said that, because I feel like the way things are with society and this upcoming generation and social media is that everything's good, right? And mostly people don't really post about the bad, they post about the good. So, they could seem that everything's going great, like the business is taking off or the modeling career is taking off, but in the background you could be screaming, yeah, like you can have all the anxiety and all the like, am I going to make it? The indecisiveness. And so yeah, I think hearing other people's stories, such as yourself, I think is very, very important, especially for those that are just starting or are kind of in that indecisive moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So you moved to New York. When did that happen?
That happened in, I believe it was June last year.
Okay, so June of 2021. You moved from Maryland to New York.
Yeah.
All right. What made you make the jump?
I mean, I was just like in a moment in my life that I thought that I just needed to finally do this, because I had been traveling to New York consistently for like castings and jobs for like a few years at a time. Like
from Maryland?
From Maryland to New York for like
Wow.
2-3 years maybe. So I was taking, like the bus, and I was maybe every now and then crashing at a friend's like apartment, and I'll, come here, do the job, and then go back to Maryland. And people were constantly telling me like move to New York, like take the leap of faith, like you got this, like you can do this, like if anything happens, like just take like a like a job as a waitress, how many like actors do like in LA and stuff, just like a random little job on the side, like you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
But it was so scary to me to like make the jump. And then finally I was at a point that I was like, you know what, like I'll just do it, like I'll look for a place, like I'll do it. And none of the things that I thought were gonna go wrong went wrong. Like I had so much like pressure on myself. Like I was so scared of so many things. Like, are my roommates gonna be weird? Like, is the place gonna be ugly? Like, am I not gonna have windows? Is the rent gonna be like super, super high that I will barely be able to like pay for it? When I get to New York, I'm not gonna get any modeling jobs, so I'm gonna be screwed.
Is there gonna be
So
enough
many,
work?
yeah, there's so many things that your mind usually automatically goes to the negative stuff.
Yep. I
So I
get
was
that.
like feeding myself with so much fear, and none of those things happened. Like I literally moved to New York, and I love my apartment. I have amazing lighting and windows.
I see
I,
that.
yeah, I love my room. My roommates are great. I love the area that I'm in. I am working the most of my entire career since I moved to New York.
Mm,
So like it's just like when you're trying to make a big change, like your mind obviously is gonna bombard you with negative ideas of
mhm.
everything that could go wrong. But it's like proven. I think the numbers are like um 93% of the time
Yeah.
it's not gonna happen.
Mm.
There's like a super, super small percentage that whatever you're thinking that's gonna go wrong actually goes wrong.
Yeah. It's mostly just all in your head.
Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Awesome. Yeah, you've been killing it in New York, as I could tell from what we talked before. So, and not only New York, because you're getting castings now, I think in California, Ohio, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I travel a lot. I go to like anywhere that I have agents that
Mhm.
represent me. So like I go to Ohio, I go to Pittsburgh, I go to New Jersey, Boston, um, LA,
Mhm.
DC, Virginia, Philly. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's awesome. You're pretty much just going everywhere. You're killing it everywhere.
Thank you.
I remember one time I was in Peru. This was 2000, it's 2020 actually, January 2020, before the pandemic, just crazy timing. But walking in the streets of Peru, casually just going into like a supply store. We had to get like some pens or something for something. And I saw you right there on the advertisement picture. And I remember I took a picture and I sent it to you. And I was just like, this is crazy. Like she's really everywhere now. Because another moment I saw you was in Tyson's Corner in Virginia. I was at the mall, and I think it was Under Armour or Nike, one of the two. That
Uh-huh.
it was just a poster of you, and I was just like,
Oh yeah. It was I think you were in this other mall in Columbia Mall.
oh, it could have been Columbia. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. There's the it was a DTLR store, and I think it was like it was a Nike like photo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I was just like shocked. I was like, I actually know that girl. Nobody believed me who the people I was with. So that,
Really?
yeah.
That's so funny.
No, but I mean, you're obviously killing the game.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're giving, in theory, you're kind of giving back to the community with your one-on-one modeling coaching, because it's something that you don't really have to do.
Yeah.
So jumping into the whole coaching session, what made you want to do that? When did you start it? How's it going? And what kind of things do you kind of coach them through? Is it like modeling specific, or is it kind of just overall entrepreneur like lifestyle?
So the way they started was because I have been getting messages every now and then of people offering to pay me to talk to them. They had questions about a contract, or they really wanted very specific like question answered. And at the
Mhm.
time I was like, I'm so sorry, like I don't do that, like maybe just send me your questions and I'll just try to answer as much as I can.
Yeah.
And then also people that knew me, like my friends, they were saying like you should write an ebook and you should like sell it and you should do this and you should do that, like things that I could like sell,
Hmm.
like because people ask for it. And I was like, I didn't feel confident enough to do it. And then it was until I think it was last year that I said to myself, you know what, like people obviously want this, so
Yeah.
let's just try and see what happens. And I put it out. I remember I put it up on my website and I announced it, and literally like I think 5 minutes after I announced it, I got my first client.
Oh,
So
oh wow. There's
so it
definitely a demand.
yeah, it really proved me like people do want this. Like it's not like, again, like in my head, negative thoughts. So it's
Yep.
just fighting them all the time. And but yeah, so what I offer is like modeling oriented. Like it's all about, if you want any tips of how to post, how to get
Mhm.
better portfolio photos, how to sign to an agency,
Mhm.
how to get paid work, how to take your details. If you have any photos and you want me to review them, you can show me your photos and I'll tell you like, oh, like I don't think this is working because of this or that, or I think you should work more on this. So I
Mhm.
do like reviews of their work.
That's awesome.
I show them how to find agencies. So I ask them, okay, where do you live? Like in which area are you? Do you have a car? How old are you? Okay, how's
Mhm.
your like work balance? Can you take off randomly? You know, I ask them all these questions and then I'm like, okay, this is where you can find agencies and let me show you. And I do like screen share,
Mhm.
and I show them exactly what I type on Google to find things, and like my review process of agencies, and be like, okay, this is an agency that you can like apply to. This is not an agency that's gonna work. And then if they have questions about, like, for example, details, which are the photos that you submit to agencies to hopefully get signed, I
Mhm.
also do screen share, and I share with them examples, and I tell them, okay, this is how your details should look like this is the position, like the angle, you know, all that stuff. So I go very deep
Yeah.
into exactly what they need and what they want. Um, and it's, yeah, it's mostly like modeling related. Every now and then they might ask me things that are more like, you know, like confidence, or like, you know, if they are struggling with like believing in themselves, or like, you know, things that are like more
Mhm.
like emotional, like, you know, like anybody can feel them, not just like models and stuff. Like I
Yep.
also like help them with that. But yeah, so that's mostly what I do, and I really do enjoy it.
Mhm.
I didn't think I was going to, because I was just like, oh, because I'm introverted, so I'm just like, oh, I don't know.
You introvert? That's
I
hard to believe.
am. I am. So it's just like, oh, I don't know. But honestly, like it's really fun. Like I really do love doing it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Wow. It sounds like, yeah, it's just more than coaching. It's really feels like a friend almost. Uh, Going through their emotions too. Yeah. Wow, that's a really, really good service. Do you know anyone else that also offers like coaching for modeling?
Like one to one, there might be one other model that I
Mhm.
think is doing. I'm not sure because I don't follow her on social media. I've heard
Mhm.
of her. But then there are workshops. So there's Model Secrets that it's run by a mother agent and a
Mhm.
model. And I don't know how often they're doing them now, but they do workshops. They do them online through Zoom. And there's also Coco Rocha Model Camp. If anybody
Mhm.
doesn't know, Coco Rocha is a supermodel. So she has her own camp, and she offers them in person. I don't know if she still offers them online, because it was during the pandemic that she was doing
Mhm.
the online
Mhm.
version of the camp. But the in-person one, I think it's like 2 3 days long, and I think she does it in different series. I'm not sure, but yeah, so that's like other options that people
Got it.
can. Yeah.
But those are like more with like other people, right? It's like a classroom
Yeah, so
type of
that's
setting.
different.
Got
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So like the workshops one are group settings. So obviously you're
Mhm.
not gonna get like a super like personalized
Mhm.
um interaction or help,
Yeah.
versus like the one-on-one coaching is like obviously just you and all you and all your questions. It's just like different. But also like the workshops are longer. Like
Mhm.
the camp is like, you know, 2 to 3 days
2 3 days.
long, and the Multi Creeks workshop, it's a few hours long, I think, maybe like three, I'm not sure, but its length also is different.
Got it. Got it. Okay. All right. Awesome. And then, so just a quick transition going into the just how you balance your life. Like, how do you do it? Like, so that's the, I feel like speaking to multiple entrepreneurs, they always think like there's a misconception of going from working for somebody and then being your own boss. Like, oh, I could choose my hours. I'm going to work like less. I'm going to work less hours. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So, but what they don't realize is you're going from working like a regular job, like 40 hours, to probably double from like 40 to 80 hours or 100 hours. So if you can kind of run me through about like your whole work-life balance and what tips you can possibly have to give to other entrepreneurs.
So I need to work on this personally because I feel like I am always working, and if I'm not always working, I'm always thinking that I have to work and I'm not doing enough. So it's just like this constant like thing in my head that if I am not working and being like super productive, I am stressing that I'm not working and being super productive. So it's like work is always like in my mind. And it's true because like if I think people that have 9 to 5, obviously I could be totally wrong because some people, even though they have a 9 to 5, they're always working as well because their boss or their manager are not like respecting boundaries of like hours
depending
and
on the
stuff.
job.
Yeah, exactly. But like let's say like a perfect 9 to 5, like I feel like people like go in and at 5 they're done, like they don't worry about the job until the next day, versus me, like it could literally, I could have a full day. Let's say I have a shoot like 9 to 5, and then I get home and then I have to like answer like agents emails, and then I have to record a last minute casting. Like for example, I went to Pittsburgh for a shoot, so I flew in, and once I got to the hotel, I got to the hotel like pretty late, like let's say like 9-10 p.m. and then I had to be up at like 7 in the morning the next day, or like 6:30. And before I could like get ready to go to bed, I had to get ready to record an audition in my hotel room, and
For
then
another casting or something.
yeah, it's for another casting, and then I
Wow.
have a few hours of sleep and then go to my shoot the next day that was like I don't know how many hours long, but you know, like it's just like constantly like working, you know, and like and I am traveling, I'm answering emails, or I'm thinking about content. So but anyways, tips. So this is something that I got advice, and honestly when I do this, I feel like I get rid of that constant like stress of that my head is telling me I'm not doing enough. And I do a lot, which is like scheduling my days per hours. So like on my notepad I write like, okay, from 10 to 11, I'm going to work on content. And from like 11 to 12, I'm going to answer emails. And from 12 to 1, I'm going to, you know, that is super helpful. And it does make me feel like I'm doing a lot. And at the same time, I give myself enough time to like relax and rest. I'm going to say that I don't do, like, I am trying to work towards doing that on a daily basis. I rarely ever do it. So I'm just always working. I feel like, but I do try to like hang out with my friends and my family. Like I do give that priority. I also sign up to hip hop classes, for example. And that's the thing I try to do as long as I'm not working. The only reason why I don't go, if it's either I'm working during that time or I am hanging out with another friend. So it happens to be like the others are the only reasons why I will miss my hip hop class. But my hip hop class, it's another thing for me, like my time, my enjoyment. And going to a gym as well. But the hip hop class is just like a fun thing to do. But I think it's important to schedule in your day
time for yourself.
Time for yourself, time to take care of yourself, time to move your body. So important. So either like, you know, besides going to a gym, I will highly recommend people to pursue recreational activities like hobbies. So for me, it was hip hop classes, but for you could be painting, or could be like reading a book, or could be like learning, I don't know, taking a photography class, or like singing lessons, you know, like I think it's very important that, yeah, you're working a lot and everything, but you give time to yourself to have recreational activities, because that's super important to take care of yourself.
Wow, I love that. Especially the recreational aspect of it. So you talk about organization, your scheduling, giving time for yourself, and then a recreational activity.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's very common for entrepreneurs to always be working. It's hard not to, just because like the work is our livelihood, right? It's how we eat.
Mm-hmm.
It's how entrepreneurs eat. Otherwise, like if you don't answer that one phone call or send that potential, photo shoot or casting audition, you might not eat next
Yeah.
week.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more pressure that way. And so you always have to always constantly be available. And it's hard to keep that, that balance. I see it all the time. For example, like my wife, she's a realtor, and she went to Peru in January, and she had to take her laptop, and she was still, doing emails over there constantly, because she's also, realtors are 1099s as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I also spoke with someone else who, same concept, is that they're starting their small business, and they feel like they're just always on their phone constantly, 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 constantly. And what one thing in common that I talked to, that someone gave me advice for, is also the scheduling thing, but
Mm-hmm.
also just blocking time for family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, if it's a Friday night, you have to literally put that block in your calendar, like family time or time spent with son. It seems silly, but
No,
to
it does
me,
help.
it does help. Yeah,
Yeah.
just to keep you on track and like, okay, I need to focus. I need to be efficient with my time. I need to focus on just my son or my family. If it's a family night, put the phone away, just shut down for a few hours, and then, because the work is always going to be there.
Mm-hmm.
The emails are always going to be there. The admin, the work is always, there's always going to be something to do. So
Yeah.
yeah. So Andrea, do you want to share like a really cool, or it could be some crazy modeling story that you experienced over the years?
I don't know about like cool or crazy, but I love sharing this story because I think it proves the point of like not like quitting the second things get hard, or like the second things don't work out the way that you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But I mentioned that I've been like, before moving to New York, I had been coming for castings and shoots for like 2-3 years. So funny thing is that all these shoots that I was booking here were all like through auditions that I self-taped. So I was home,
Mm-hmm.
taping them myself.
Yeah.
Or it was like direct bookings, which means that I didn't like do anything other than submit my photos, or my agent submit my photos, and that's how I got the job. But I was still coming to New York for in-person castings. So those made me super nervous. Like me being in front of the camera since the very beginning, I was never nervous. I was never shy or anything. Like I was just like, oh, whatever. Like I don't, I was super confident.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like in-person castings, that's when I felt like super nervous, because it really felt like this is my one and only shot. Like if I mess this up, I'm not gonna work with this brand, or like I really want this job, so like I need to do the best that I can. And that really like messed me up. Like I got like shaky, like I couldn't
Oh
talk. Like yeah,
no.
it was just like it was bad. Like I will even feel like physically sick, because I
Oh
was
wow.
so nervous about this like in-person castings, because I put so much pressure on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that translates to the people that are watching me in the casting, right? So like probably they didn't think I was the best candidate, because like, oh, she's too nervous, or like she looks too shy, or like she is not like open and stuff, because I was probably not, because I was so
Yeah.
nervous.
Mm-hmm.
But I kept trying. It's not like I told myself, I can't do in-person casting, so I'm just not gonna do them. Like anytime an agent or a job asks me to come to New York for in-person casting, I'm just not gonna go, because what's the point? Like I get too nervous, like I screw up, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just bad,
Yeah.
I didn't think like that. I thought like, no, I'm gonna keep going, I'm gonna keep trying, like something's gonna happen one day, and I kept trying, I kept working on myself, I could try to get better, and the nerves kept like trying, like going down and stuff, like after so many times. But the thing is that after 2 years of doing this, like coming
Mm-hmm.
all the way here, doing like castings are, by the way, they're like 3 minutes long. They're
Mm-hmm.
like super fast. So I
Oh
came
wow.
from Maryland all the way to New York for 3 minutes that I messed up every single time.
Oh.
So after like 2 years of doing that, I finally came to a casting and I finally felt confident in that casting and I booked the job. And I was so proud of myself. And that really like showed me like, prove to myself that I can do this. Like it's gonna take time and I could mess up, that there's no reason to quit. So that's just like my story with my in-person castings.
What was the most like nervous or like the auditions that you did? Like you said physically shaking, like did you go in front of them and like you were like trembling?
Oh yeah. So sometimes when you're going to these castings, they want to see your hands. So you literally have to like put them up here and you can literally see my hands like shaking.
Oh
Because I
no.
was so nervous. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Well, I mean, it's all trial and error, right? So
Yeah.
mistakes are part of the journey. I think that's very important for people to know. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I just, I don't know what it was, but I was just like, there's no way I cannot do this. Like, so I kept trying and trying, and finally, I booked that job, and I was like, that really obviously boosted my confidence. And after that, things got better and better with confidence. And now I walk into castings and I'm not nervous at all. It's kind of like walking to a coffee shop. It's like normal to me now.
Yeah. It's repetition. That's all it is. It's consistency. I think, yeah, from what I've just learned about you in this call, your motto is like perseverance and consistency.
Yeah.
Like just sticking with it. Yeah. So Andrea, you're now 6-7 years in your modeling career?
Yeah.
6-7 years. I mean, you have great ambitions. You started this modeling coaching sessions. You're just killing the game. You're flying to all these cities. You're doing all these showings, these castings, these photo shoots as well. Where do you see yourself in 3, 5, 10, 20 years from now? What are your goals?
So I have so many goals, but I don't really like to put my time, like a time for the goals, because it's just like, I feel like that adds extra pressure on yourself that it's not needed, because you could reach the goal or you could not even reach the goal. Like I've learned that the purpose of goals is to have them, not necessarily reach them. And that's not saying in like a bad way that you shouldn't work towards them. It's just like, have them, try to work towards them, but don't like kill yourself if you don't reach them. Like it's the goals are for fun to have them. But yeah, some of my goals are like to get signed to a big agency. So right now I am signed to a bunch of different agencies, but they're all considered boutique agencies, which is totally fine. I love them, they give me amazing work. But it'd be so cool to be signed to like let's say like the Real Madrid of agencies, or like, I don't know what other sports related, but people that watch soccer, maybe they'll understand the reference.
Yes.
So I think a top modeling agency anywhere in the world would be so cool to have, because they can reach other clients that I want to reach, like other type of contracts I want to have. A dream of mine is to model for Target. Like I love
Target.
I
Oh.
love the photos, and it will be a dream of mine to one day model for Target. Another goal of mine is to really keep breaking that like beauty standard of the height for like modeling clothing. So for example, not even like high fashion, but just like e-commerce. Like for example, when you're shopping for your regular like outfits and stuff online, you're usually not shopping designer outfits, but those people on those like websites or the stores are usually like 5'7" and over. So it's really hard for people that are like 5'3", 5'4" to even model for those brands because of the height. So I really want to keep working towards being able to reach that level that I can model clothing same way a 5'7", 5'8" model does it. Because at the end of the day, the average woman height is 5'3", 5'4", but you're selling in a model that's way taller than her. But yeah, so those are like some of my goals. Model for more beauty brands like makeup and skincare. Beauty contract will be a dream for sure. Beauty contracts are like the most top goal of like almost any model, because that's where you make millions of dollars.
Wow.
So one day we'll love to be the face of a beauty brand.
Mm-hmm.
So those are like some of my goals.
Any specific brands in mind? You mentioned Target. What else?
I mean, like Adidas would be amazing, or like modeling for American Eagle or Aerie, Abercrombie,
Mm-hmm.
any of those brands that I love to shop at, honestly. Yeah.
Get some discounts as well on the way.
What?
Maybe some potential discounts they could throw your way.
Oh, we don't get discounts.
Oh,
Yeah.
got it. No, those are great aspiration goals. That's awesome. Yeah, shoot for the stars. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
why not?
Exactly. But the thing is that if you shoot for the stars and you work that way and you don't reach it, you're still kind of going here. So you
Mhm.
maybe not get to the stars, but you're gonna get it here. So, and that's a pretty good place to be.
Yeah, you're still reaching for them. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you're better off reaching for this insane goal. I love that, by the way. Just thinking about it through, like you're better off reaching for this insane goal. Like if Andrea wants to make $1 million this year, and she comes up short $500,000, but you still,
It's
I mean,
half a million.
yeah, you can't
Yeah.
cry over that. But no, that's awesome. Yeah, great tip,
Yeah.
great, awesome, great goals. So I always ask this question to wrap up the call, and to all of my guests. What are 3 tips? It could be in the modeling industry, it could be to entrepreneurs everywhere. What 3 tips or key pieces of advice would you give them today?
Oh my God. You put me in the spot. Let me see. Um, I think a really, really big tip that I think everybody should pursue regardless if they're like an entrepreneur or just like a regular like 9 to 5 person is working on your mental health. Like that is going to help you so much in the moments where business gets tough.
Mm,
When you mental health is just like it's so helpful because as an entrepreneur or any person, you're constantly comparing yourself, for example, like how much money somebody else is making, or like you're not where you're supposed to be because you're thinking that because you're a certain age, you're supposed to be somewhere in life. Or like you didn't get a job that you were really hoping to get for because of the like you needed the money, stress, like all these
mm,
things like mental health and working on your mental health are going to make everything so much easier in your
tip.
life. So I think that's a really like really big tip. Um, the second one will be like to put things in perspective.
Mhm,
So a lot of times I think, including myself, like I've been in the past like thinking like I'm just making this much money and I'm not making that much money. And I think it's very important to sit down and look at your life and see like I have a roof over my head, I have clothes, like
mm,
I'm not worrying about the next bill that I have to pay, like I have hot shower, like I can take hot showers, I'm not homeless, so
yeah,
sometimes I think we are comparing ourselves to like these millionaires or the super successful people that have this huge houses, and you're
mhm,
thinking like damn, they're only like 21 and already like a millionaire, and I am like 28 and still with roommates, like
mhm,
it's not, you shouldn't compare that way, you should be like, no, I have all this stuff, like
mhm,
I have food, like I am living life, like money is not the source of happiness. Obviously money is very important
mhm,
and it's something that we need to live our lives, but it's not the root of happiness. So I
yeah.
think like putting your life in perspective when you're like feeling stressed about where you are financially is like very important. And then the third tip, I think I will just go back again with the recreational activities. I think this is something that we all forget to do. And personally, it's something that I never put importance to because I was
Mhm,
just like, oh, I just go to a gym. People always ask me like, what do you do for fun? And I could
mhm,
never answer the question because
mm,
it's just like, I didn't like saying, it's not like it's bad, but I didn't like saying like, oh, hanging out with my friends, because everybody does that.
Everybody does. Yeah.
There's nothing exciting when you're meeting someone new and they ask you like, what do you like to do for fun? And you say like hanging out with my friends. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You know?
Come on, give me something deeper.
So exactly, you know, or going to a gym, like all, not everybody, but like so many people go to a gym, you know, so it's nothing like exciting. And it's so different going to a gym versus like a recreational activity, you know, like going to a gym is different than, you know, doing an activity. So I think like something that I really like people to pursue more is just like a random hobby that they thought when they, because hip hop for me, like it started with that wanting to take the classes. It started like when I saw the movie Step Up. I don't know if you remember that movie. That movie
is that Channing Tatum, right?
that movie came out when I was like, I don't know, in 7th grade or 8th grade or something like that. I can't remember. So just take that random hobby that you've always thought of that you like to do and just take the class, you know, like it's really good for your happiness. So yeah.
Man, you went deep. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah, so just to recap, mental health, absolutely agree. Take care of yourself, take care of the mind. And then just jump into the third one, talk about the mind and taking care of your body. With the whole move your body, I guess with the hip hop class or recreational activity, like
could be anything. I mean, mine is related to moving my body, but it could be like, God, I can't think about like anything but like a book club, you know, joining a book club or like a painting class.
Something that you're passionate about, something like a hobby.
Something that you think will be fun, or something that you always thought you wanted to do, like, but you don't, you're not like, you weren't born with the talent and you always wanted to try it, like do it, you know, like I wasn't born with dancing skills at all, but I just always wanted to try and dance. So that's why I chose hip hop, you know? So, or take like gymnastic classes, like there's gymnastic classes for adults and gymnastics is so fun. So, yeah. Yeah,
no. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So mental health, recreational activity, and perspective. I think that last one's very, very important. Especially nowadays. Sometimes I feel like I'm entitled. And the whole, just the concept of entitlement, like you said, we have food to eat, we have a roof over our head. Yes, we're not driving the BMW that we want. Yes, we're not driving taking the first class. We're not going to vacations in, I don't know, Maldives like every weekend. And it's very, very difficult, especially with social media, just being like, they show you again, like you see all these millionaires and blah blah blah, and like it would be cool to have, but you shouldn't make it that your life is not so great, because your life can be great. I think our lives are great.
They are, you know, and we forget that. We forget when we're like scrolling on our phones and we see all these amazing things and we're like, like I really wish I could dress like her, because like all her stuff is so expensive and she's always traveling to like here and there, and I'm here like what do you mean here, where, like New York City, like you know, like you're living your dream. Like we can get to that hole, but we need once I think it's important that we are aware when we're doing that, so we catch ourselves and we can pull ourselves back to the present and be like, look around, what do you have?
Always stay grounded. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So thank you again, Andrea. This was an awesome episode. I'm very excited for people to hear. You gave some great tips, lovely stories. I'm going to close it out. Like, where can people follow you? Any last comments you'd like to make?
Sure. So I am almost in like every social media, I think, like, but my biggest one are TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And my username is Andre Ventur with 3 R's. I don't know if you can like type it in like description box or something.
Yes, I will.
Like, very interesting. I thought about it when I was like in 10th grade. So, and I decided to stick with it. But yeah, you can find me there. I also have a podcast too. It's called Standing Tall. You can find it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And I interview a bunch of models that have made some type of success in the modeling industry while being something that's different than the norm. Usually the majority of the models are short. But I also interview you and we talk about taxes for models, which is an amazing like resource if you're trying to figure out taxes and stuff. Yeah, so I also, there's my website, so it's andreaventuramodel.com. Well, I have also like other resources in my website, so if you're trying to look for information about how to start getting paid or how to like find agencies, if you want to see other models that are petite and successful, I have a list there. So a bunch of resources everywhere.
And that's where they can find the coaching as well?
Yes. You can also find my coaching sessions on my website, andreaventuramodel.com.
Okay, awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Andrea. I really appreciate it. And just keep shooting for the stars.
Yes. Thank you so much.
I'll see you in Target next year.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right, Andrea.
All right,
Take
bye.
Care. If you like this episode, make sure you subscribe to follow for more content and for our future episodes. Thank you.